Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Sparkle English, where I help you improve your English level. My name is Jennifer and today we have an advanced punctuation lesson. I'm going to teach you the difference between how to use colons versus semicolons. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to Sparkle English for more lessons like this one. First of all, what is a colon? This is a colon right here. It looks like two periods or two full stops on top of each other. And a semicolon has what looks like a period or full stop over top of a comma. So how do we use these in English? And can we use them interchangeably? Well, the answer is no, we cannot use them interchangeably. Let's first talk about how to use colons in English. A colon is a punctuation mark used to introduce a list, an example, or a quotation. Colons are used to separate two clauses when the second explains or illustrates the first. Let's first talk about using colons to introduce a list. He has 4 brothers, colon, Jack, comma, Ben, comma, Carl, comma, and Tony. Here we have a list of 4 different items. So we're using this colon to introduce this list. You can see we have used a colon after an independent clause that then introduced this list. Don't put a colon here if there is not an independent clause before the list. Here's another example. She can play several musical instruments, colon, piano, comma, guitar, comma, and violin. Again, we have an independent clause, so we put a colon here to introduce this list of 3. Now, if you are wondering about this comma before and, this is called the Oxford comma. Some people use this, some people do not use this. It is correct either way, however, it depends on the style guide you are using. If you're writing an essay, make sure to follow the correct style guide of your university or your school. If not, just be consistent. I've also linked you to a video on the Oxford comma in the description below this video. Now let's carry on to another usage of colons. We also use colons to introduce an explanation or an example that illustrates a point. For example, here's why I was late this morning, colon, my car wouldn't start. In this example, we are using a colon because we're introducing an explanation. Here is why I was late. My car wouldn't start. You can see that I have capitalized the M in my. Again, this depends on the style guide. After a colon, some style guides say you have to capitalize the next sentence if it's a complete sentence, and other style guides tell you not to capitalize it. So again, make sure you're following the correct style guidelines for your school or university, if that's APA or the Chicago Manual Style Guide. Here's another example. You'll never guess what happened, colon, I met Ryan Gosling. Again, we're using a colon here because we're introducing an explanation. Here's another example. There's one city that I truly love, colon, Madrid. Lucy has one weakness, colon, chocolate. Now in this example, chocolate is not an independent clause, so you would never capitalize the C. And we only capitalize Madrid because Madrid is a proper noun. So now let's talk about how we use semicolons. A semicolon is a punctuation mark used to link related ideas. We use semicolons to connect closely related independent clauses. We also use semicolons to separate items in a complex list when the items contain commas. First, let's talk about using semicolons to connect closely related independent clauses. This is the most common use of the semicolon. For example, she loves ice cream. He prefers cake. Here we've connected these 2 short independent clauses with a semicolon. They're closely related. We're talking about this girl's preference and then this boy's preference for desserts. Notice that we do not capitalize he. When we connect two independent clauses with a semicolon, we don't capitalize the beginning of the second clause unless it begins with a proper noun. Here's another example. I like this restaurant. The food is always delicious. Again, we have two independent clauses. We do not capitalize the. And finally, she loves painting. It helps her relax. Now, before I continue, if you want more help with practicing semicolons, colons, and other types of punctuation marks, you can order my 16 Basic Punctuation Rules ebook, which I've linked you to in the description below, and it contains over 50 pages helping you with different punctuation rules. So we also use semicolons to separate items in complex lists. For example, we visited Tuscany, Italy, Galicia, Spain, and Normandy, France. Here, we have commas in this list. Tuscany, Italy is one place. Galicia, Spain is one place, and Normandy, France. If we don't use semicolons here, and we only use commas, it looks like we're talking about 6 different places. So we have to use semicolons after each item to make it easier to read and understand. I do have a video on this topic, which goes into more detail, which I've linked you to in the description below as well. It's another example. My older sister Jessica, my younger cousin Jill, and my uncle Jeremy are visiting next weekend. Again, by using semicolons, it makes it obvious that we're talking about 3 people and not more. My older sister, named Jessica, my younger cousin, named Jill, and Uncle Jeremy. So now let's quickly review semicolons versus colons before we do our quiz. So semicolons link related independent clauses, while colons introduce lists, examples, or explanations. Okay, so first of all, semicolons connect 2 closely related independent clauses. For example, I like playing guitar, semicolon. It helps me relax. Whereas a colon introduces a list, quote, example, or explanation. I have one passion, colon, playing guitar. Semicolons also separate complex or lengthy list items. My favorite cities are Paris, France, semicolon, Tokyo, Japan, semicolon, and Halifax, Nova Scotia. Whereas a colon introduces a brief explanation or example. I have one favorite city, colon, Paris. Semicolons link sentences that share a common theme. The weather was beautiful, semicolon. We decided to go for a picnic in the park. And a colon introduces a clause that illustrates or restates the previous clause. The weather was perfect for one thing, colon, having a picnic in the park. The colon is another way of saying which is or which is the following. The weather was perfect for one thing, which is having a picnic in the park. Okay, guys, now it's time for our quiz. There are 10 sentences in total. You must add colons or semicolons where necessary. First, I will read all 10 sentences and then we will correct them together. Number 1, I have 2 favorite fruits, bananas and apples. Number 2, she loves reading books. It helps her relax after a long day. Number 3, there are 3 things I need to do today. Go to the bank, buy groceries, and do the laundry. Number 4, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I plan to go hiking in the mountains. Number 5, Jeff can play several musical instruments, piano, guitar, and violin. Number 6, we decided to cancel the trip. The weather forecast was not good. Number 7, the movie had a clear message. Love can overcome any obstacle. Number 8, he always carries a book with him. He loves to read during his free time. Number 9, I've decided to start a new hobby, painting. And finally, number 10. He has visited many countries, including France, home of the Eiffel Tower, Italy, known for its ancient Roman ruins, and Japan, famous for its cherry blossoms. Okay, let's correct these together. Number 1, we need to add a colon. I have 2 favorite fruits, colon, bananas and apples. This is introducing a list. Number 2, we add a semicolon. She loves reading books, semicolon. It helps her relax after a long day. We are separating 2 closely related independent clauses. Number 3, we have a colon. There are 3 things I need to do today, colon. We are introducing a list. Number 4, we add a semicolon. I'm looking forward to the weekend, semicolon. I plan to go hiking in the mountains. We are connecting 2 closely related independent clauses. Number 5, we add a colon. We're introducing a list. Jeff can play several musical instruments, piano, guitar, and violin. Number 6, we add a semicolon. We decided to cancel the trip, semicolon. The weather forecast was not good. Now, number 7 might be complicated. In this one, we add a colon. The movie had a clear message, colon. Love can overcome any obstacle. It is introducing an explanation what the clear message is. Now, remember, a colon can also mean which is. So, the movie had a clear message, which is, or which was, love can overcome any obstacle. Now remember that some style guides say to capitalize an independent clause after a colon and some say do not, so it just depends on what style guide you have to follow. Number 8, we use a semicolon to separate 2 closely related independent clauses. Number 9, we use a colon. We are introducing an example. I've decided to start a new hobby, colon, which is painting. And finally, number 10, we have a complex list that contains commas already, so we need to use semicolons to make this easier to read. He has visited many countries, including France, home of the Eiffel Tower, semicolon, Italy, known for its ancient ruins, semicolon, and Japan, famous for its cherry blossoms. These semicolons make it obvious we have 3 different places that we are talking about. Okay, so this was a more difficult quiz. Let me know in the comments section how many you got correct out of 10, or if you want any practice on anything I discussed in this video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you all in my next English lesson.